What is up, CBK Nation? It's been a while because I've been traveling and I've seen many of you personally over the course of this summer, but the travel games are over and it's back to reality. Today, I'm going to talk to you about 3 of my favorite ways to overcome objections and drive wedges when I'm talking to prospects. Come on, let's go talk. One of the number one questions I get is, David, how do I overcome objections and drive a wedge when I'm talking to prospects at the point of sale? And I'm going to tell you, it's not easy. Sometimes it takes like 20 years to perfect your craft. I'm just now starting to come into my prime, I feel, some days. But I'm going to give you 3 that have worked for me over the years, and I think you're going to understand why when we break it all down. The first thing I like to do is I like to break costs down in a way that a prospect can understand them. Now, there's a little bit of an art to this, so you're going to have to work on it. But you want to use an estimated annual revenue for your prospect. And if you're going to estimate, you want to estimate high. Last thing you want to do is talk to a $10 million a year business like they're only doing $5 million a year. That's a problem. If they're doing $8 million a year, always go with 10. They're going to be able to do the math themselves and realize that if the results are that bad for a $10 million company, it's even worse if they're only doing 8. The other thing you want to do is you want to use an assumed profit margin. Keep it easy. Use 10%. If they're doing worse than 10%, then they're going to be able to do that math in their head. If they're doing better than 10%, they're going to be able to do that math in their head and figure it out. But the reason you want to do this is because you want to calculate an approximate value in dollars of the profit that the operation is making every year. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to calculate the total cost of risk, however you're going to do that. Now, some people are going to tell you to throw soft costs in. Others are going to tell you to throw them out. I always use a multiplier of 2 times the direct costs for soft costs when doing this calculation, and it works out well. What I do is I add everything up, and I show them the dollar amount, then I show them the profit, and then I take that profit amount that they're making and divide it into a daily or monthly amount, because I want to show that prospect how many days a year they're working just to pay for their total cost of risk. Sometimes it's a month, month and a half. I actually had an account one time that was 17 months. It took them over a year to pay for their total cost of risk from one bad year. So break it down into a way that you can show them how many days a month or a year they are working. It's amazing how well that works. The second one that I like to do is I like to quantify the hourly rate. A lot of times we're going to get on the phone with someone and they're going to say, oh man, I don't have the time to talk to you. Well, let's say I'm calling an account that's paying $150,000 a year for their workers' comp premium because their mod is a 1.5. That means they're paying $50,000 more than the average peer in their industry group based on their own results. If that CFO or controller says, I don't have the time to talk to you, the first thing out of my mouth is, oh, well, I apologize, you must make $100,000 an hour. And immediately I catch their attention. The reason I say that is because I'm only asking them for 30 minutes of their time. And I want to get them back to average first, then we can work on being best in class. For me to get them back to average on their mod would be a savings of $50,000. If they're not willing to talk to me for 30 minutes to save $50,000, that must mean they make at least $100,000 an hour. Otherwise, it would very much be worth their time to talk to me about how I can help them save. The third one is to displace the friend. Everybody's got a frat brother or a sorority sister or the high school buddy that they hang out with that's now an insurance agent. And let's say that that agent is the one who placed that same $150,000 comp policy. One of the things that I might say when that prospect comes back and says, I'm sorry, my friend's my agent and has been, we're lifelong buddies, I might say something like, I need more friends like you. Because I don't know of anybody at all that I associate with that would be willing to pay $50,000 a year just to have me in the mix. The reason is, the agent's not doing their job. The mod's high because they're not doing their job, and the agent is costing that client at least $50,000 more. $50,000 more than average. not $50,000 more than the minimum mod. They could be costing them $100,000. Who knows? We'd have to run the mod software on Mod Advisor to figure that out. But I want to quantify that because I don't know very many prospects out there that have $50,000 a year friends. In that case, I would tell them it might be cheaper for them to go ahead and hire us, let us fix the mod, and then just stroke a check for $15,000 to their buddy and pay him $15,000 in his commissions so they can stay friends but ultimately save more money for the company. Sounds ludicrous, doesn't it? But if you pitch that to a prospect, they're going to think it sounds ludicrous too, and they're going to realize maybe there's some truth in what we're saying. I can't promise you that those three are going to work every single time, but they're going to work way more than they don't. And if you follow those three things, you're going to kill it in commercial insurance.